Coming up on Valley View News, the biggest strike in higher education history.
For the cost of living in California, we are paid poverty wages.
Plus, artists showcase their work at the Renegade Crafts Fair.
I think it's a really great opportunity for independent business people.
And CSUN is teaching one of Mexico's long-standing musical traditions.
You don't have to be a music major to enroll in this class. You can be a major of any other career choice.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Jesse Barrientos.
And I'm Giovanni Galvez.
5 people died and 25 were injured after a 22-year-old gunman opened fire inside a gay nightclub in Colorado Springs last Saturday. Police say the suspect entered the club Q with a semi-automatic rifle, a handgun, and extra ammunition. Students of CSUN campus say the attack brings concerns about safety.
We've lost the safety in our world because we're all scared of something.
It's not right. We need to do something to reform. And personally, I believe that we should have stricter gun control. We should have better background checks.
The attack ended when 2 customers grabbed the suspect's weapons and hit him with it. They then pinned him down until police arrived. Authorities said suspect is being charged with murder and hate crimes.
Enrollment at California's community colleges plummeted to a 30-year low, a new data shows. Since the pandemic in 2019, 115 campuses lost about 300,000 students. That's an 18% drop. The loss of students will significantly affect funding for community colleges.
Classes have been canceled and labs have been closed as the UC system faces a graduate worker strike. Our reporter Rocky Walker watched as they marched.
The largest strike in higher education history is currently taking place. 48,000 academic workers across the University of California system left their jobs. They're demanding better compensation. They say wages cause many UC student workers to struggle to pay rent.
So over 92% of TAs at UC are rent burdened, and I'm absolutely one of them. I pay about 45% of my income on rent each month.
They're demanding childcare for workers with children, fee reductions for international students, and they're pushing for transportation support. They want graduate workers' salaries raised from $24,000 a year to $54,000, and postdoctoral workers want yearly salaries of $70,000.
For the cost of living in California, we are paid poverty wages, especially those of us that have a PhD, like myself.
Postdoctoral scholars, academic researchers, graduate student researchers, and academic student employees make up the strike. The United Auto Workers Union represents them. Many UC undergrads joined the picket line in solidarity.
They're my teachers, so their working conditions are my learning conditions. So if their working conditions are really difficult and they're overworked and underpaid, that means my learning conditions are suffering as well.
The UC system offered a 7% pay raise. They stand by this raise, calling it fair and generous. Union officials say it still isn't enough. The UC strike took months to organize, and organizers state there's no end in sight until all 4 bargaining points reach a resolution. Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Rocky Walker.
The Supreme Court will reconsider its past decision on affirmative action. The court will review 2 cases from Harvard and the University of North Carolina to decide if affirmative action cases will be overturned. The decision is expected in June. Public and private universities have sought ways to increase diversity without directly taking race into account. Data from the University of California's incoming 2022 freshman class shows improvement in diversity. However, the diversity still remains lower than the state's overall demographic profile.
1 person was fatally shot and another injured in a shooting at the University of New Mexico last Saturday. Officials say the shooter was a student from New Mexico State. The victim was from the University of New Mexico. The shooting happened on campus just hours before a men's basketball game. The schools are basketball rivals. The game had to be postponed. Police didn't immediately release the victims' names. So far, no charges have been filed.
Some students at the University of Virginia think there's a lack of awareness about campus safety. Recently, 3 student athletes were shot and killed on campus. Some students say they're not surprised by recent killings on college campuses. Many university police departments offer active shooter training for students and staff.
California is projecting a $2.6 billion deficit for schools and community colleges. The state will dip into its education rainy day fund to cover the deficit. Many worry new programs like the tutoring initiative could be cut. Some educators are anxious leading up to Governor Newsom's New Year budget report. The governor said it's important to be disciplined in spending. The state's overall budget deficit is expected to be about $25 billion.
The Senate Judiciary Committee is looking into allegations that a former anti-abortion leader got word of a 2014 Supreme Court decision involving healthcare coverage of contraceptions before the decision was made public. Conservative Christian Rob Schenck claims he learned of the outcome of the 2014 case before the decision was announced. The Times reported Schenck said the leak came from a donor to his organization, Gail Wright. Wright denies obtaining and sharing information.
Georgia officials asked a court on last Friday to immediately block a judge ruling striking down the state's abortion ban. The ruling allows abortions to be performed beyond 6 weeks of pregnancy. A Fulton County judge ruled that two key parts of the rule are unconstitutional and the laws can't be enforced. The state passed the ban before the Supreme Court's decision in overturning Roe v. Wade. Clinic operators will begin discussing the possibilities of offering abortions up to 22 weeks of pregnancy.
In a report published last Thursday, the Center for Disease Control says at-home births have been increasing since 2019 and are at the highest level since the 1990s. Out of 4 million births in 2021, 52,000 were at-home births. The report shows a 12% increase from 2020. This follows a 22% increase in the previous year. Increases were seen across all races and ethnicities, although the report also shows that at-home births are less common among the Hispanic women. Experts say despite the increase, at-home births are still rare, accounting for less than 2% of all births in the United States.
Free diapers and menstrual products are available at select libraries. Our reporter, Camille Acevedo, talked to the San Fernando library manager.
The San Fernando Library is giving away free diapers and menstrual products. It's a program dedicated to help families who struggle to purchase essential hygiene goods.
The program has been a huge success in our community. We have distributed over 150 products since the launch of the service.
Los Angeles County Supervisor Hilda Solisa backs the program. The nonprofit Baby to Baby has donated their brand's diapers, tampons, and pads. Upon request, participating families receive ready-to-go bags filled with the products.
We have new and returning customers who consistently express their appreciation and gratitude in regards to the program. And the amount of feedback, the positive feedback that we received just really helps to create that community goodwill.
It's not just cisgendered females. I believe that everyone should have the right to menstruation products.
This library in San Fernando is one out of the 5 libraries in Los Angeles to be handing out free diapers and menstrual products. Here in San Fernando, for Valley View News, I'm Camille Acevedo.
President Joe Biden's granddaughter, Naomi Biden, got married on the South Lawn of the White House last Saturday. She wed her longtime boyfriend, Peter Neal. This is the 19th wedding to take place at the White House in its 200-plus year history. Naomi Biden wore a long-sleeve high-neck gown, and her new husband wore a navy blue 3-piece suit. The president and the first lady were the hosts of the wedding.
LAPD officers had made an arrest in a brutal assault on a married couple outside the Elton John concert at Dodger Stadium. The attack happened in the parking lot of Dodger Stadium when the assailant hit the couple's side mirror of their car. The husband questioned the assailant. That is when the attack happened. He was sent to the hospital with a broken leg and a concussion. The wife was also attacked and knocked to the ground. No details have been released about the assailant.
A man arrested in Los Angeles for a crash that injured a group of Sheriff's Department recruits has been released. The 22-year-old was arrested on the suspicion of attempted murder after driving an SUV into a group of law enforcement recruits on the opposite side of the road. Due to the extreme complexity and multiple pieces of evidence that needs to be analyzed, Nicholas Joseph Gutierrez was released. 5 recruits were critically injured. Another 2 are still in critical condition.
Pfizer says its latest updated COVID booster may offer more protection against the new emerging Omicron variants. With variants of the BA.5 strain emerging, Pfizer and its partner BioNTech says the new booster is aimed at protecting against Omicron subtypes. Experts say it's still too soon to know how long protection from the booster will last. As of November 12th, the BA.5 variant is responsible for about 30% of the new cases in the U.S.
California prisons transfer people with mental illnesses far more frequently than other prisoners, a Cal Matters investigation found. The Cal Matters probe found that some inmates moved more than a dozen times. Analysis of data from 2016 to 2021 found prisoners in enhanced outpatient mental health treatments were moved 3 times more often than other prisons. They were moved on average 5 times within this time period compared to 1.5 transfers average for the general population. Advocates say that the shuffling of mentally ill prisoners can be damaging and disruptive to an already vulnerable population.
U.S. officials are proposing changes to WIC, a federal program that aids in grocery expenses for more than 6 million low-income pregnant women, infants, and children. The changes would include extending payments for fresh produce given during the pandemic and making changes permanent. It would also offer a wider selection of whole grains, canned fish, and non-dairy options for shoppers. The goal of the update is to expand the amount and type of healthy foods available to families who receive WIC. If authorized by Congress, the revisions would increase vouchers for fruits and vegetables to $25 a month for children ages 1 to 5 to $49 a month for breastfeeding women.
Fast food workers across the state went on strike as restaurant groups pushed to overturn the signed labor law. The governor signed AB 257, giving fast food workers a say in pay and safety standards. It regulates working conditions and pushes the minimum wage to $22 per hour next year. But workers want to overturn it and be allowed to create their own minimum wages and more. The Save Local Restaurants group petitioned against the bill, saying that it would lead to a rise in food prices and close their businesses. The head of California Labor Federation said those on strike are standing up for what they worked hard to pass.
More to come on Valley View News. Indonesia is hit by an earthquake and clothing retailer Guess is under fire. Stay with us.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Remember the best planned 90 minutes of your life? Or that surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
It's going to take more than just us. It's going to take the community, the world, to help us make a change.
Cuando tú te gradúas, ellos se gradúan.
For a look into international news, here's Andrea Gonzalez in our Digital Media Center.
A Pentagon official says Russia missile strikes in Ukraine are dominating the country's skies. Russia hammered Ukraine with a range of missile strikes over the weekend. Ukraine said the strikes crippled half of its energy infrastructures, creating a potential winter disaster. A Pentagon policy advisor said Moscow hoped to weaken Ukrainian air defenses. Ukraine's air defense was one of the major obstacles Russia's military faced. Iranians' university continued to protest as Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei warns enemies to try to mobilize. Protests grew, frustrating Iran's leaders who blame foreign enemies for the disturbances. The Supreme Leader said the enemy has a new trick every day targeting workers and women. Women and university students are playing prominent roles in anti-government street protests. Many have been seen waving and burning headscarves to denounce the country's strict Islamic dress code. The unrest started after Mahsa Amini died in custody after morality police deemed her clothes inappropriate. Indonesia shook with a 5.6 earthquake, taking the death toll to 162. The U.S. Geological Survey says the earthquake struck West Java at 1:21 p.m. National Disaster Mitigation Agency chief says at least 5,300 people are displaced. He also says 700 are injured by collapsed buildings. The country's meteorology, climatology, and geophysical agency recorded at least 25 aftershocks. Information is being collected on the extent of casualties and damage. Nepal's election ended with violence and lower than expected turnout over the weekend. Nepal Chief Elections Commissioner said 1 person was killed, 2 wounded, and the voting was stopped in at least 15 locations. They say voting resumed the following 2 days as votes are counted. Army helicopters will fly ballot boxes from remote villages to district capitals. The trigger of the violence is unknown. Vice President Kamala Harris underscores the United States' commitments to the Philippines with a visit. Her visit involves touring an island province in dispute with the South China Sea, the same place where Washington accused China of bullying smaller nations. Harris then flew to Thailand Asia-Pacific Economic Corporation Summit. The visit included a meeting with the President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to reinforce the nation's treaty alliance. A U.S. official said Harris plans to meet civil society activists to show support for human rights and democratic resilience. She said her trip to Thailand was successful. The Taipei Zoo announced that Tuan, a giant panda, died on Saturday. It's believed that the panda had malignant brain tumor and after a number of seizures was put into induced coma. Tuan was one of the 2 giant pandas that were gifted to Taiwan from China in 2008. They were a sign of goodwill from China. Back to you guys in the studio.
The California Air Resources Board released its updated scoping plan to implement ambitious climate action and slash pollution. The update stems from Governor Gavin Newsom's goals to have clean renewable energy and fuel. The official scoping plan is pushing for much of Newsom's goals to be achieved before or by 2045. This means raising the stakes for clean energy and climate resiliency, as well as achieving carbon neutrality.
A record-breaking lake-effect snowstorm froze parts of western and northern New York last Friday. Some spots saw over 5 feet of snow. The storm is blamed for 2 deaths, and the National Weather Service reported a single-day total of 3 feet of snow along the eastern end of Lake Erie. Flights in and out of Buffalo Niagara International Airport were canceled. The storm's severity is due to frigid winds picking up moisture from warmer lakes and dumping snow in narrow bands.
Environmentalists and attorney generals of the West Coast states are opposing the expansion of a natural gas pipeline in the Pacific Northwest. The U.S. government has taken steps towards approving the expansion, claiming much of the environmental impacts will be temporary or short-term. However, a coalition of environmental groups say the analysis conflicts with the climate goals of the Pacific Northwest states. TC Energy is the owner of the Gas Transmission Northwest Pipeline, and it claims the project is necessary to meet consumer demand.
Banksy claims clothing retailer Guess is using his designs without his permission. The artist posted a photo of the Regent Street store in London and suggested shoplifters should visit. The shop featured Banksy flower thrower graffiti plus clothes bearing his images. Guess closed the store to public, placing security outside following the post. The company collection was created in collaboration with Brandalize, which licensed designs by graffiti artists. Guess hasn't commented.
The Renegade Craft Fair was held at the LA State Historic Park. Our reporter David Reyes met up with the artists at the fair.
Here at Renegade Craft Fair, not that far from downtown Los Angeles, hundreds of artists gather here to sell and show their art. Sochi Rubalcaba, who came from Portland, says she wants to change the game on how art is sold.
I try to make it accessible. I do a couple things. I let you pick your price, and I give you a range of what people have been paying me.
Curatorial and design director Ogechi Anyawu says she loves seeing artists not just sell their projects, but interact with other artists.
I think it's a really great opportunity for independent business people to be able to connect and kind of network and to share their projects and their business.
Thank you so much for
While most artists take all the profit, others like Srimoy Acharya share a piece of her profits to local animal shelters.
I just really fell in love with North American wildlife, and so that's what really inspires a lot of my artwork.
Renegade Craft Store is not just for vendors to sell their product or artists to show their artistic skills, but it's also a good time for family and friends to hang out. For Valley View News, I'm David Reyes.
Small businesses are feeling the strain of rising interest rates, labor shortages, and weakened supply chains. The Federal Reserve raised its benchmark rate by 0.75%, its fourth increase this year alone. The rates increased the cost of credit cards and variable rates small business loans.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation says it has national security concerns about the operations of TikTok. It warns the Chinese government could use the video sharing application to influence American users and control their devices. Director Christopher Wei told a House Homeland Security Committee hearing the potential threats. He said the Chinese government can control data collection and control software in millions of devices. TikTok is owned by the Chinese company ByteDance. Chinese national security law requests foreign and domestic systems to share their data with their government.
Bob Iger is back as Disney's CEO. Disney's current CEO, Bob Chapek, is stepping down after becoming chief executive in 2020. Iger will take the CEO role for 2 years. He served for 15 years as CEO before Chapek. In recent months, Disney's earnings have decreased from Wall Street's expectations. The theme park has also delivered less despite a surge in revenue. Disney shares have decreased 41% so far this year.
The Supreme Court will hear a trademark dispute filed by the company that makes Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels is barking mad at the makers of a dog toy that parodies the whiskey company's signature bottle. The squeaking toy mimics the whiskey bottle's iconic square shape, along with the liquor's amber color and black and white label. It even replaces the company's original label message with the old number 2 on your Tennessee carpet. The toy makers say Jack Daniels can't take a joke. But the distiller's attorney says the profit-driven joke confuses consumers. The Supreme Court will hear the case in early 2023.
The government of New South Wales is releasing an updated pilot digital ID strategy, an effort to give people control over their personal data. Cyber attacks in the country have encouraged the need for greater preservation of consumers' control over their private information. One feature is a locally stored ID that will allow users to renew working with children checks and do proof of age for alcohol purchases while providing physical ID cards. The test will continue throughout the pilot phase.
When we come back, the Dodgers donate $1 million to Elton John's AIDS Foundation. Also, Black Panther 2 dominates the box office. Stay with us.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
One of the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history at Post nightclub in Orlando.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved. If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
The Los Angeles Dodgers are donating $1 million to the Elton John AIDS Foundation. John was presented with a check during his tour show that was held at Dodger Stadium. Expressing his gratitude, John called the stadium an iconic venue that means a lot to him and his career. The legendary musician first played at Dodger Stadium in 1975.
Power Ranger star Jason David Frank has died at the age of 49. The actor was found dead in Texas from an apparent suicide. Frank was best known for his role as Tommy Oliver, the green and white Power Ranger in the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Off-screen, he professionally trained and fought in MMA.
Taylor Swift fans react as Ticketmaster cancels tickets for her upcoming tour. The company said there aren't enough tickets to meet the demand. Friday ticket sales to the general public for Swift's Eras Tour would be canceled. The sudden cancellation comes after Ticketmaster said that more than 2 million pre-sale tickets were taken.
Black Panther Wakanda Forever has taken first place in the box office for the second week in a row, collecting an additional $67.3 million over the weekend. In second place, The Menu clocked in at $9 million. The Chosen Season 3 took third place, making $8 million. Black Adam and Ticket to Paradise took fourth and fifth, respectively, both making less than $5 million.
Actor Brendan Fraser is refusing to attend 2023 Golden Globes if nominated. The Whale star is considered a frontrunner and intends to boycott the ceremony, saying his mother did not raise a hypocrite. In 2018, Fraser accused former president and member of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, Philip Burke, of groping and assaulting him in 2003. The Hollywood Foreign Press Association is the organization behind the Golden Globes. Burke has denied the allegations. During the investigation, the HFPA stated although it was concluded that Mr. Burke inappropriately touched Mr. Fraser, the evidence supports that it was intended to be taken as a joke and not a sexual advance. Burke remained a voting member of the HFPA until 2021. Nominees for next year's ceremony will be announced in a few weeks.
Cheryl Burke leaves Dancing with the Stars after 17 years with the show. On November 20th, the 38-year-old announced on Instagram that she is leaving her job. Dancing with the Stars is currently in its 31st season, and Burke finished her run by competing with TV meteorologist Sam Champion. Burke made her debut on Dancing with the Stars in Season 2 in 2006 with her partner Drew Lachey, winning the Mirror Ball Trophy.
CSUN is showcasing Mexican culture with a class that functions as a mariachi ensemble. Reporter Noe Ortega was able to show us some of the music they made last spring.
Mariachi music is an important part of Mexican culture. CSUN's Mariachi El Matador is an ensemble of students who sign up for a course to form a mariachi. Director Carlos Samaniego says the class is open to anyone.
You don't have to be a music major to enroll in this class. You can be a major of any other career choice. You will have to learn how to play an instrument of mariachi and sing as well.
Some students who signed up for the course have played mariachi instruments for years. Ismael Lorso Jr., a jazz major, believes the course is beneficial for students of Mexican descent.
For Mexican and Hispanic culture, mariachi is a very proud thing in our culture, but when it comes to American culture, it's just seen as maybe like a novelty. You don't really see something as serious.
Some of the songs they rehearsed included Las Mañanitas, El Rey, and A Mi Manera. All are songs originally performed by famous Mexican musicians and singers. Guillermo Reyes Quimolin says he enjoys representing his culture through music.
If it wasn't for mariachi and listening to singers like Pedro Infante or Jorge Negrete or Vicente Fernandez, I wouldn't be singing myself.
The ensemble had its final practice of the semester and will be performing for the first time as a group at CSUN's Mariachi El Matador's event. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Noe Ortega.
Nicki Minaj, Maluma, and Miriam Fares have dropped their new World Cup song, Tucutaca. The song connects a beat and track produced by Gordo, Play and Skills, and Masari that makes history as the first FIFA World Cup song featured in English, Spanish, and Arabic lyrics. This year's FIFA has released a handful of official songs for 2022 World Cup. The first song was an uplifting track, Haya Haya, Better Together, by Trinidad Cardona, Davido, and Aisha, which flows with R&B and reggae.
Kyrie Irving rejoins the Brooklyn Nets, this after being suspended from the team for posting a link to a documentary with anti-Semitic material. He missed 8 games during his suspension. In his first game back, he scored 14 points. The Nets won 127-115 over the Memphis Grizzlies. Dozens of members of the Israel United in Christ group were in attendance at the game. In a public apology, Irving claims he doesn't support hate speech or anti-Semitism and wants to take accountability for his actions.
The Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Los Angeles Chargers, their AFC West rivals, 30-27. The Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes hit Travis Kelce for the game-winning touchdown late in the fourth quarter. Mahomes threw for 329 yards and 3 touchdowns, which were all to Travis Kelce, while Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert threw for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. The Chiefs are 8-2 and top of the AFC West, while the Chargers are 5-5 and in second place.
The Los Angeles Lakers get a huge win versus the San Antonio Spurs 123-92. Lakers star Anthony Davis had another big night, scoring 30 points and grabbing 18 rebounds, while Devin Vassell led the Spurs with 17 points. The Lakers have won 3 straight games. They now move to 13th place in the Western Conference standings.
Iconic singer Bob Dylan's love letters are on sale for $669,000. The love letters from one of the most celebrated songwriters span 150 pages. Dylan penned the 42 notes to his then-girlfriend Barbara Ann Hewitt, and all of them sold on Friday at auction. Hewitt met Dylan in high school, and according to the RR auction, they had their first date on New Year's Eve, 1957. Dylan, whose hits include Like a Rolling Stone, was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988.
That's all for us at Valley View News. I'm Jesse Barrientos.
And I'm Giovanni Galvez. For stories any time of day, go to our website, csunvalleyview.edu. Thanks for watching.